You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. We are back again on another edition of this program. Wherever you're watching this program, saying thank you very much for always following. How are you doing? How was you yesterday? And I hope you're doing good. We're wishing you a wonderful morning and, stay blessed throughout the day. On the program, I'm with Julde Njai. Julde, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Ibrahim. Good morning to our viewers from wherever you're watching us from. It's always good to be back on this morning platform with my guy, Mr. Mboje.
Mr. Momodu Mboj. Yeah, so Mr. Momodu Mboj, it's good to have you on the platform as the newspaper review guest again and again.
Yes, I'm glad to be here. But I'm not sure whether I will take kindly to Julie calling me my guy. Can you imagine, Balde?
My guy. But after Mumla Baye.
My guy.
Why you
Can you imagine?
Suffer
Kira mamam la.
Why you suma mam nga yo
Why
my G like
Why?
suma why.
Mom, two different things.
So-
Why I'm gonna
Dima, munan mane sondo yo yai neka elek. I was like maneka elek fan mane si shobi. Mane ko ne yo na gis na ne dang de kontaan trop pour neka bokka man ben platform.
No, man, I buga to plan things. So I talk about things 24 hours before. I'm not going to indulge you and follow you along that path, that ego-tripping path. No.
No, why at some point xam nga lu ñëw lu tax nga ko wax lu tax ngay
You nga prepare for it. Isn't it? You prepare for tomorrow, don't you?
waaye gis nga am na yoo xam ne tam lu ñëwut su nekkee yaa ngi koo xalaat di ko wax daf dee snatch sa piece tey si suba rek ci biir moto bi buñ doon ñëw suma benn collègue mu ngi doon waxaa benn sister mu ne ko ne sister bi mu ne am na benn xeeti foog naa lifin la mbalit moo doon romba xet bi ñëw rek collègue bi mu ne ko ne yow xaaral ba soo dee di nga xam ne xet moom loolu du dara dangay dañ laa suul def la nii ak nii ak nii oo ñu def la nii ma ne ko ne xaaral bañ aaga bés boobu tam so when we get to that day we are going to deal with
Absolutely.
it so you are not going to tell me dee aaguñ you are still telling me soo dee nii ak nii waaye suñu aagee foofu tam we are still going to deal with it.
Absolutely.
So there you wouldn't know anything. Don't forever argue.
Mr. Mboj, naka nga ko xamee?
Then
How did you know that?
Then and there are definitions. Lan la they mean. Hidna you yangi am sa own I don't know voodoo idea of what death is. You have
Not a
your own
voodoo idea.
No, Mr.
So you're dangane so dee rek jeex na.
Yeah.
But you buy
The body.
Wow.
Hanga body is a biological organism.
Wow.
When it's dead, it's dead. Mota mu de smell mu neka carcass. Mota ñu de soul. So it's obvious why.
Why?
It is obvious.
I'm
the
not
body.
loaded feel. I'm not loaded yik.
No, the kind of other teaching why there's something called the soul that
Wow.
lives. So, but we're talking about the body. The body is just some biological
Karen, you
stuff.
fought a topic in there because I'm not connected to office call. Nyamewut. Every day. But I'm going but then if you dare. Yeah, so it's good to be back here again.
Yeah.
And Julia, how was you yesterday?
It was fine. I had a couple of things to do. Then I came to the office and then made up a story and I read the news. Yeah, so basically, yeah, it was what it was.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You know, I watched Julia, read the news the other day. It was amazing. Xam nga man for sometimes suma QTV dafa dem suma need. You know, so to bring it back, suma raka more def lolu bem ñëwaat. So now I watch the QTV news. So the other I saw Julia reading the news and it was really amazing to see Julia.
Thank
You
you.
know, I was so proud to be associated with Julia. And just
Mashallah.
to in fact be like, I know Julia. It made me proud. And my kids were like, Dad, he came here during our naming ceremony. I was like, yes, he was seated here.
Mr. Mboj, does he comment?
Nope.
No, does he
Kinda
comment? Does he comment? Yes.
I'll just listen.
So what do we have, Julia?
So we have our African proverb as part of our first segment, and it reads, "Be careful when the crocodile attempts to smile." Crocodile mom sum smile rek hay amna. Beka gis na e biga piri. Ayo Mr. Mbodj.
te xam nga ni gars yi mel suñ téye noonu motionless.
Yes.
waaye léegi gémmiñ baa ngi slightly ubbi. mu ngi mel ne ñu ngi smile.
Yeah.
Fekk they're just waiting. Oh yes, I know. These sort of deceitful things.
Yeah.
The hidden danger. The enemy that looks like a friend.
Yeah.
See, that sort of thing. From now on, you're warned off. You know,
Danger painted with a smile.
Yeah.
stuff like that. You know, when I read this, I immediately thought of this famous Greek mythology, the Trojan horse. Be careful of Greeks bearing gifts. Apparently, you know, those days, ancient days, the Greeks siege this place called Troy for a long time. And then you pretend and you retreat. You buy for a big wooden horse.
Yeah.
Because some of them need to big horse. So big guy melon them. So the Trojans ubi send gates to dugal the horse in. That was the gift. Goody, the Greeks came out, killed all of them. That led to the fall of Troy. So, you know, it's something like that. Be careful, you know what I mean, before you trust anything. Or, I'm the potential, it's in the danger. Be careful, learn to read the signs. I mean, it's easier said than done, obviously. Why? This is life, you know, some things sometimes, you seem to have a smile, but they're deadly.
Right.
that's all it is.
Yeah.
They're deadly. That's
So
essentially
there is a contribution here.
Okay.
The phrase "be careful when the crocodile attempts to smile" it is a metaphorical warning.
Yes.
It suggests that someone may appear friendly or you know,
harmless
or harmless on
Good.
the surface. You understand? So it's talking about the same thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
We all understand how dangerous crocodiles are. You cannot play with them. Although people tend to play with them at Kachikali without knowing the danger. Sometimes I think...
actually, the reason why they can play with it is that they know the danger.
Yeah.
So they've studied. You know, we're human beings. We're superior to all of these things. We know how to study them. They don't know how to study us, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So, yes, we can get along with stuff like that. Just be careful. We can even get along with lions. We tame them and all of that. Humans can do stuff like that. But it's a metaphor. This is that said. It's a metaphor. One thing stands for another. This is how metaphors work. And the crocodile here is a symbol. It symbolizes the hidden danger, isn't it?
Yeah.
This smile is like, be careful you're not ensnared in something. You are not beguiled.
Yeah.
You know, by certain things, and then
Absolutely.
you fall into a trap, and then you regret for God knows how long.
Absolutely. I think it's more or less the same interpretation that we have, like to be vigilant of your surrounding, to actually know, not to be deceived by smiles or whatsoever, but also, you know, paying attention to small details.
That's it.
You know, don't take anything for granted. For me, that's just it. Sometimes we are always surprised that, oh, I never expected this. I never it was there. You were not just paying attention to the details, but it was visible to you. So I think it's important for, you know, people to be vigilant of their surroundings, to know actually when a danger it's coming their way, to be able to, you know, address it and all of that, because it's always there,
That's
whether you know
but you
it or
see,
not.
people will never be like that, or at least sometimes. You know what I mean? We are not always driven by good sense. Man is really never driven by reason. There are other things. There are certain biases within you don't even see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have certain desires. For instance, when my friend Balde, he saw these khaki trousers. Oh, he loved it so much. he bought the khaki trousers. Immediately I looked at it. I said, Bale, that's not your size. He said, of course it is. He wanted it so much.
So badly.
He missed the reality. It wasn't his size. So he came back in the morning, Mr. Bush, the khaki trousers on your desk. And he said it begrudgingly. But he said, you see? You see what desire does?
And that's a real scenario. You know?
No, and the desire, wanting something, then they clouds a judgment.
Right.
You don't really see the real, true configuration of things. You miss so much. So much are difficult. So all of these proverbs, fine. Why need it more? It's amazing. So maybe beginning with yourself, naka nga mulde sa bopa, nga understand sa bopa. That's the beginning. Why it's the hardest thing. We don't see it. We think we are okay. So problem America. Oh, Juldela. Roman, oh, Baldela, oh, system bila. You blame something outside of yourself. Then you are absolved. You are all right. It's not true. You are the first enemy.
Wow. Nice. Yeah, so at this point, let's take a short break. After the break, then we'll delve into the newspaper review. We'll be right back.
QMoney is back again with its easy-to-use, secure and convenient mobile app that allows you to carry out all your transactions. No matter where you are or what time it is, you can always access your funds. With the new QMoney app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy QPower, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send QMoney, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Calpe. We innovate, others follow.
You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. So let's head to the newspaper reviews. And Julde, what do we have? I believe you have the Point, Standard, and Foroyaa newspaper.
Yes.
With us.
We have Point, Foroyaa, and the Standard. So on the Foroyaa newspaper, you have some farmers in NBRC. They still not paid.
Not paid. Wow, we are getting into
another
rainy season already. So, not paid. How? Why?
Those questions.
It would have been important to delve into that. How? Why are you not paid? You know?
And how many of them?
How many of them?
One needs to know what's really going on there. It seems quite astonishing to say that that's it. We are on the brink of another season. So I don't understand that.
You can measure. You can measure the situation by knowing how many farmers are not paid. You understand?
And the circumstances surrounding it. So
you know what I realize about newspapers sometimes. You know, newspapers tend to put up headlines for reading's sake, reader's sake, just to get people to buy papers. Sometimes you can talk to one or two farmers and they will like, we are not still paid our money. While 98% of these farmers are already paid. So
and in fact, when you go into the details, why aren't you paid? Then you realize
maybe
that maybe you should have done something that you had not done. You know, so there are all sorts of reasons. There can be any number of reasons why they're not paid. Unless we know the details, the context. One really cannot say much about this.
Exactly.
So what do we have? We still have Esa Fall vows to unite opposition following his resignation from ICC. Interesting. I don't know how he intends to do that.
Are we smelling a coalition?
Yeah, something like that.
Are we smelling? Because there was a time I said it on this platform. I said there will be a time in Gambia, single party cannot win election. And we are going to watch that now, Mr. Mamadou Mbodj.
No, that is not true. You are going to have coalitions. Be careful with the 2016 one. We are unlikely to have something similar. But let's look at the subsequent elections.
Yeah.
You had coalitions, but of smaller parties, insignificant electorally. Their performance really demonstrated that they were really insignificant,
Yeah.
nothing. So the NPPs, the incumbent party, and UDP, you know, PDOI is fine. So you still have these main parties. And then Hamad Ba's party, the smaller ones, latching on to the big ones. So you'll have
Right.
these configurations, but the smaller parties will make no difference. They are parties in name only. You look at National Assembly, zilch. Local government, when it comes to the wards,
you want to call the small parties a parasitic party. They survive.
Some of them,
they survive on other parties to stand.
Yeah, well, yes. You just got to look at the situation and see where you think your interest will be best served. That's how these things work. Yes. So some of these parties, they are parties only in name, and this is not an opinion. How do I judge the success of a party, political party?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's electorally. National Assembly elections, nothing. You don't even put up candidates. Local government, one would have thought, you know, the wards, you can, you know, test your muscles and see how well you can campaign and win things.
Right.
Nothing, zilch. So you are just a nominal party in name only, but electorally a non-entity.
So what are you trying to say, Mr. Momodu?
I'm not trying to
are
say
you telling
anything,
me?
I've already said it.
Are you telling me there is a likely NPP is going to win the 2026
No, I'm not
election
saying
again?
that. I'm saying that you're saying that you cannot win elections without the coalitions. I'm saying not necessarily so. That's not true. We've seen a lot of smaller parties forming coalitions, or smaller parties latching onto the big ones, you know, holding onto the apron strings of the big ones. They're doing that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that without these coalitions you wouldn't win. 2016 was an exception.
It was.
Let us be careful here. That was an exception. Moving forward, what have we seen so far? Since Barrow formed his party, it's really between NPP and UDP.
Yeah, but you have people like Ahmad Bas, NRP.
Yes, they're doing well in Sabah Sanjal. There's a particular area. Let's just be careful here. NRP, there's a particular area where they can get 3 or 4
they have a
members.
stronghold.
That's it, they have a stronghold.
In that area.
But nationally, we haven't seen it.
They are not relevant.
I haven't seen it nationally, you know. I haven't seen it.
Well, you know my problem, Mr. Momodu Mboj. I mean, when you talk to Gambians, they will tell you, Halifa is the right man to run this country. But Halifa has been trying for over 30 years, but he's never been given a chance. Why? Is it that sometimes we are enemies of our own progress?
No, what does that mean? Halifa, as a politician, the model is a very, very interesting one. It's been studied by political scientists all over the place. So with him, he wanted to come with a purity of message, pure politics, full of integrity, honesty, and all the rest of it.
Okay.
But as a politician, that doesn't work. We are told that that doesn't work when you look across the board.
Right.
You see, what is wrong with playing whatever games you need to play? This is what happens all over the world throughout history. You win power so that you can implement your program for people to see. You see? So the wrestle mat of politics, Halifa didn't play that at all. Coming with an ideology and the like. Take your typical voter. Your typical voter, I'm not sure whether you will appeal to Africa right now, Gambia right now, your typical voter. What's our education level? Maybe 50% literacy rate? I do not know. Notions like socialism, you need a huge middle class of educated people. That's how it is. It's never worked. So
well, you know, Halifa's ideology would have worked in a society that have the same ideology as Halifa Saleh.
Not the same, but to have emerged from it.
Yeah.
You see, I think Halifa in the 60s was in the US. The Black Panthers. He had all of these ideas. They were more Pan-Africanist than
Yeah.
everybody else. But when you look at the reality, I think this has been the revelation, really, the independence generation with their nationalisms and all the rest of it. But now the reality of post-independence. Have you seen what happened? What we are boy, I cannot see Halifax
It's a
model
lot.
winning.
Winning.
I cannot see it. I just cannot
At
see
least
it.
not for
It's
now.
not possible.
At least not for now.
I can yes. Maybe he's ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Or maybe he would have been better as a university professor or perhaps running an NGO, but as a politician, see, this is the key. As a politician, I am not sure whether the model can work here. That's the worry. Brilliant in everything, just as you said, people will tell you, honest and all of this, but I wouldn't vote for him. It's an extraordinary situation. There's no point blaming people. When you do that, your analysis, your diagnosis will be wrong. People are not playing games. According to their own reasoning, this is how they should behave. There's no need to patronize them and say, oh, they're not educated enough, or they're not this, or they're not that. I think I, as a politician, then perhaps I misunderstand my society. Maybe that could be the problem. My model,
But
not the
do
people.
we even know
not the
ourselves
people.
as a people? Because, I mean, one day we are in this direction, the other day we are in another direction. It's like, sometimes I'm really confused to really understand, what do we really stand for as a people? Who are we really?
What do we want?
What do we really want? You know, I think sometimes it's so crazy. Some of the things that are happening, you wonder, like, what is happening?
You see, I'm wondering about you. What do you want? Can you have one single platform, one simple message, everybody has signed up to it, and we are all sort of hunky-dory and moving on forward to paradise or to the promised land? You are never going to have that. Development, democratically, it comes in fits and starts. Any society, do people know themselves? Oh, we thought we knew America. Look at, they've just given us Donald Trump. Do they know themselves? So you're constantly finding out about yourself.
I mean, when I look at
That is a mistake.
You constantly.
The PDOIS party worries me a lot, but the party that worries me the most is the APRC. You know, they are divided. You have this side and the other side,
faction.
and now they want to contest for presidency. How can they do that?
The APRC is a dying party. Yeah, we've seen. Yeah,
it's a dead party already.
It's essentially
it's
dead.
Not dying.
So
it's
this is what happens. Parties are just so tied to the individual founders.
Absolutely.
Look at PPP. Once Sadara was gone, it had to go down because there was really no ideology as such. You know what I mean? When Jammeh came along, APRC all over the place. Jammeh gone, APRC, boing, it's gone. UDP, we thought that after APRC, after Jammeh, UDP looked poised to be perhaps the next big thing. You know what I mean? It was the majority voice in the coalition. But somehow, as often happens, in power, you fall apart. And then NPP came up. It seems that NPP outmaneuvered UDP, and now it is the party for how long? We didn't know. Barrow is only in his 50s, huh? So this is going to be interesting.
But
how far, how will UDP survive? Dabo is still there, but we all know that sooner or later Dabo is going to go. Nobody's in here for perpetuity. And then what next?
What next for the party?
Yes, I do not
I
know.
think that's a problem, because
I do not
not
know.
just for, like you mentioned, APRC, PPP has been
yeah,
here, and you know, I think people aligned more with individuals rather than party politics, party policies, which is a problem in this country. For instance, the reason why I want to believe people overstay in power for so many years is because they believe that once they step aside, they will not have anyone to replace them, or they are the image of the party, and that is a problem. For instance, we have Barrow. Barrow came in, and we are expecting, okay, after the first time he is going. No, first time here, second time here, and now he is even opting for a third term. So that's a problem, really. I think people should really differentiate between the individuals from the party and the policies. I think.
And let us be careful our categories. First term, second term, third term. For us, constitutionally, it's meaningless. It doesn't even mention it.
Okay.
So we should be very careful there. Yes, it doesn't even mention it. The notion of personalized politics, Hughes and Perfect. Everybody's been writing about this for a very long time. These historians, Hughes and Perfect, in their history of the Gambia from 1816 to 19 whatever, there was a time the Fosters in Banjul were just so powerful. So from the very beginning of our politics in the 1950s, when we were forming the parties, from the very beginning of that politics, everything was personalized. Ideologies, I do not know, maybe in these circumstances, political ideologies emerge after a few generations, I do not know. But right now, all politics is really personalized. It was really Khalifa who attempted this ideological stuff, but even with that, you can see that, wow, this is interesting. It's been only Khalifa, the three, essentially, when they started, 1986, Khalifa, Sam, Sar, and Sidi Ajata. Has any younger one emerged along the way? Khalifa seemed to overshadow everybody. One would have expected a few, you know, that everybody would be talking about as potential this or potential that. But has anybody really, somebody substantial emerged? I haven't seen it. We were thinking about maybe Usman Silla, former National Assembly member, Banjul North, you know, sort of. But anything else? So with all of them, everything revolves around the Lord of the Manor.
Exactly.
To the big story of the week, government breaks silence. Where is it? Yeah, on
Jammeh's asset sale.
Yeah. So now the government of the Gambia, this is ironic because in 2023, I have a story here which says the government will not reveal buyers of Jammeh's properties. And the Minister of Justice, Dauda went to the National Assembly and he mentioned that Jammeh's assets were sold for $1 billion. But when asked who the buyers are, he refused to give further details. But now the government here, 2025, coming, saying they will reveal the details. And this is only after an investigation has been done by a journalist.
Yes,
But you know, Mr. Mboy, there are things that should be made very clear. Okay, fine. Jammeh's assets are on sale.
Yeah.
You understand? And you are a buyer. You are interested to buy. They sold it to you. You are a buyer. For the buyers, you don't have an issue. I don't think that should be an issue for a person who wants to buy. I mean, they want to sell his compound, and I went through the right process to buy to acquire that. I don't think I have a problem.
There are too many assumptions there. You went through the right process.
If that was the case, why was it not mentioned?
No, but that is even. Let's be careful. We shouldn't be sidetracked. When the Attorney General said that they were not going to release the list of buyers, now they're saying that they will do so. Then I come back to you. Why didn't you want to do it in the first place? Why is it that you had to wait until somebody forced your hand? This wasn't voluntarily done. Somebody else, a report forced your hand. Why? And this is like public assets. I would like to think public auditions, public sales. And it's really a hot potato. It's very controversial. Everybody would want to know. So we all know that for transparency purposes, in the name of accountability, it's better to say how these assets were valued and who bought them and for how much and that sort of thing. But certainly the minutes the Attorney General said that they wouldn't. And then he mentioned something else. He said for privacy reasons, that could be privacy reasons why they wouldn't do so. I said, what confidentiality? What are you trying to hide? That cannot possibly be. Public assets? I mean, if I want to hide buying these things, I'm not sure whether the right to anonymity, I think lawyers or there's a portion of the law where they might have this right to anonymity. But I'm not sure whether it applies in this case. I disagree.
We have to understand now.
I disagree.
What happened to the proceeds? I mean, after selling, these assets, what happened to the proceeds? Derived from the asset sale.
Well, what do we know? Well, for instance, in Darbo's report, Darbo said that, well, especially with the stuff that Alpha Capital was handling, after assets were sold, Alpha would take its share, and what remained, they would go and there was an account at the central bank, according to this report. So whatever happened to that money, we do not know. But this is really very serious accusations. We are going to see how the government is going to respond, how it's going to handle it, and it matters. We saw the statement that they released, talking about Alpha Capital was selected and they had gone through due process and all the rest of it.
Process and all that.
The circumstances, what Darbo said, when Alpha was formed, it was inactive until the sales came along, the circumstances of its formation, the very process, the nature of its selection. There was somebody else selected first, Augustus Prom, but the minister, some say, sacked the company, the firm. He said, no, didn't. They were given an interim appointment. There was an interim appointment. But was that what the court said? You see, you have to link it into the courts. That was something that Justice Abinasar did. You know what I mean? Apparently, she was furious when the minister decided to do what he did. So, very serious accusations here, which the state, the government must respond to seriously, and no spin doctoring. People can see through these things.
Right.
Treat us as we are intelligent people. You know what I mean? No spin doctoring. Even in spin doctoring, there's something called plausible deniability. Know what to accept and what to deny. Not a blanket denial that is poor spin doctoring.
Exactly. So thank you, Mr. Momodu Mboj,
You're welcome.
for reviewing those stories with us, and interesting times ahead.
Absolutely. Apparently, Chinese, they have this prayer: may you live in interesting times.
Amen.
Yeah, so on that note, we'll take a short break. After the break, then the program continues. We'll be right back.
Oryx Gas, the energy that brings us together.
Powered by Africa, Oryx Energies.
QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. Soro.
Go, ebe dawa full network suta tili QCell. Ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata QCell. Most reliable network, Dumala get a what QCell. Wo quality man yon sota jam, Pona manke QCell. Anibe uloni farole kono walante be bako na jala fayola network o se taria. QCell, sunny boss. Nyofinjeka in the 3G, New Dellu Taxi 4G Plus, and now we bring you 5G. 5G. First and only 5G provider. Itella follow adi doron nesa keno. Gambia bela nyon tawa fele QCell. Ko fasunta buka busi QCell. Itella multi milka kukutol nati Gambia. QCell made lori la kiliano yele imanjina amanda wala itella ka quality dila dadi ma itelle silo wala wodol mume be keno ma. QCell sunny boss. QCell sunny boss. QCell sunny boss. QCell sunny boss. Connect solo be bambandi QCell sunny boss. QCell most innovative QCell sunny boss.
Kiumoni arti webi na fitora gol no yawi te non kadi no moƴƴi kiumoni a wawa wadde piiji ɗin fow kala ko wonɗa wattu kala a wawa e hendade mbuuɗi maɗin e o kiumoni app kesson a wawa e nattinde mbuuɗi ma ɗum yaltina soda crédit soda kiw paɓa soda ko falaɗa te non kadi wawa hen yoɓude himɓe e ko heewi ina wawi kadi nuldude kiumoni yoɓa bilji maɗin te non kadi hendoɗa mbuuɗi ko yaasi nulda himɓe kadi mbuuɗi fi nafitoragol ɗum no weeɓi yahu ka play store ma ɗum ka app store fi wawa fuɗɗade fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi noddu kiwmoni customer care e 133 kiwmoni suñu kalpe minen udditi lawol ngol si woɓɓe jokki kiw.
We're back. You're watching QTV this morning. I'm Ibrahim Balde. Thank you very much for following. And you can send your comments on our social media handle. To contribute on this program. Now let's take a look at the third segment of this program. ICT support small businesses at the GCCI Trade Fair. And we have Suwaibu Cham, business development consultant, ICT, and Babukar Ture, Tarawale rather, communications, knowledge management, and program advisor, right? Yeah, so gentlemen, welcome to QTV this morning. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So first of all, let us delve into what you people do.
Right.
Yeah, good morning to you all, and thanks for hosting us today. Well, ITC is the International Trade Center. It's a joint agency of the UN and WTO. It's 100% aid for trade, promoting MSME or business development in small, medium, small countries, developing countries. Currently, ITC in the Gambia has different projects. Key among them, the flagship one is the EU YEP Tourism Project, which is funded by, as the name applies, the EU. Right. Is a sequel to the YEP project, which concluded about a year or so ago. And this time around, the YEP Tourism Project is focusing more on the tourism sector to actualize the potential that the tourism sector have for the Gambia, to optimize the tourism sector for the Gambia and Gambians in general. So the focus is developing the tourism sector, enhancing different components of the tourism sector. So the project has three key main components. Okay. One is the tourism and creative sector, and then the other component is the MSME component, that is the backward linkage. Recently we had a meeting with the Gambia Hotel Association president, and I was shocked when she disclosed that hotel consume only 25% of local products, so the remaining 80 are imported. So for that aligns exactly with why the project comes into force. So to create a linkage between producers in the Gambia and in the hospitality sector. The other component has to do with institutional strengthening, policies, advocacy, and stuff like that. So the tourism, EU YEP tourism, in a nutshell, that's what the project is about. And then we have the peace building project, which Boubacar will talk more about.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, Yolda.
So in terms of the support that was rendered to businesses at the GCCI Trade Center, what specific support were given to small businesses?
Yes, thank you. I will delve into that, and then so we can give a more detailed explanation. It went through a competitive process. We launched a call for application, inviting small businesses to apply for these stalls. We announced that through various social media platforms as well as other communication channel in order to get the small businesses to apply for this opportunity. So after the selection process, competitive application process, we did a selection process together with our partners, GCCI, because they're the one hosting the Gambia International Trade Fair 2025. We looked through the different sectors as far as the small businesses that applied, and then did a final selection together with them. The support comprises of a lot of things. First, we gave them stalls, 65 to be specific, and that's 65. Currently, we're talking of almost over 90 small businesses that are participating at the trade fair. We have also rural participants. For these rural participants, given the fact that most of them are coming from the rural, from very far, we ensure that their transportation as well as DSAs are catered for in order for them to successfully participate at the trade fair. In addition to that, we train them together with GCCI on basic financial management, as well as customer care. When you're at the trade fair, it's very important how you behave yourself, how you approach customers in order for them to be able to buy your products. So all of these orientations we have done in order to prepare them in order to successfully participate at the trade fair. After the training, we ensure that there is enough visibility for them in terms of their branding, pavilion-wise, in terms of themselves also having social media cards in order to popularize whatever business or services, goods that they are providing to people, so that they know about their businesses. In addition to that, also we ensure that there is visibility from our end, ensuring that we, make good use of our social media channels as well as radio and TV, as we are doing right now, so that people know about the support. So trade fair is important. It has more to do with market access. First thing, it's build your network, because you're going to meet a lot of people. They're going to you're going to exchange a lot of contacts, and those people will come back again if they like your product to buy from you. The second thing is you're going to sell your products. If you sell your product or services, it means that your income also is increasing. And the third thing is it's boost visibility of your products and services, because it's an international trade fair. Every thousands or hundreds of people go to the trade fair. That in itself is a big market platform, which is unique and a great opportunity for small businesses. But before Swell comes in, I want to talk about the UN Peace Building Fund, which I am directly managing. It's basically a joint UN project that us at the International Trade Center as a UN agency, together with UNDP and UNESCO, are implementing. But we are focused mostly more on the Infoni. And this year we have a pavilion at the Trade Center, at the GCI Trade Fair, called the Fonyi Pavilion. It consists of only businesses from Fonyi. Currently, we have 11 of them from all the 5 districts of Fonyi selling different products at that pavilion. So the main idea of the Peace Building Fund is to strengthen social cohesion through economic opportunities. We know that we have dialogues, very important to building social cohesion, but also if people do not have economic livelihood, or their economic livelihoods are not enhanced, it becomes difficult for them we talk about peace or social cohesion and unity. So we ensure that we enhance social cohesion through economic opportunities. Currently, 11 of them are there. The DSS as well as transportation, in addition to the visibility materials and social media engagement that I talk about, are all catered for them. So it's also about inclusion, ensuring that rural businesses participate, because these opportunities comes once in a year, because this is it's once the trade fair is once in a year.
So in terms of the criteria that you're looking at, we know that it's small businesses, but then what qualifies someone to benefit from this package?
Like Boubacar rightly said, this support falls under the market access component. The program we're implementing for small businesses come under the Andandor platform or framework. Andandor and one of main partnership are going together. I'm from Sukuta, so our Wolof is not very good. So, but however, the selection procedure is transparent, it's clear, and the requirements are basic. One, you must be a youth or woman. Youth, which mainly focus on boys, I would say, or men, from 18 to 35. Women from 18 to, yeah, if we are able. And then you must be Gambian. You must be in the tourism value chain, that is the tourism sector and its allied sectors. So like Boubacar mentioned earlier, we're supporting basically the creatives and the arts, and then you have the women component. You have small businesses ranging from food processors, agro-food processors, service providers. We have
craft market
federations. We're supporting 8 craft market federations, and we even have a barber shop there. We have a photo studio there. So if you want to have a photo shoot, you can go there. We have a young guy there, Mustafa, who does clothing, Tough Bell Creation. You know, very creative young man. When I saw his pieces, I'm like, dude, do you import these and just put your name on them? And he's like, no, I buy the piece here and sew it myself. You know, so, and then we have majority. I mean, luckily for us, majority of the participants are women. I will say more than 60%.
Nice.
Like 80%.
80%.
80%.
So,
that is good.
So like Buba, you might ask, okay, they have 65 stalls, but they claiming there more than 90 people are there. So some of these stalls are single, but others are shared too, because we don't want to disadvantage micro ones too, those that are really small to occupy a full stall. So we have share stalls too. So the 30 of the stalls is dedicated to the tourism and creative, where, for example, the craft markets are sharing and very colorful too.
Okay.
So yes, and then we have a section for rural actors. Majority of them are farmers, like women gardens from the provinces, and then, like Buba said, we have about 5 of them from Fonyi also, rural gardens. This time around too, we have a stall for network of women in trade. These are young women, dynamic young women, who came together, form an association to network among themselves, to enhance, communication, visibility for their products. So this year we support them with 4 stalls. So like I mentioned earlier, the requirement is basic. 18 and above, must be Gambian, must be operating in the sectors that we are targeting.
So how long does it take once a person is interested? How long does it take for a person to receive a response from your team?
Well, the call was for a period of 2 weeks. We like Buba mentioned earlier, we try to sensitize the public as much as possible, and then upon completion of the call for application, a shortlisting was done, and then people were immediately informed. So I would say from the deadline to the day that you were aware was within 2 weeks.
So what long-term impact those ICT seeks to achieve? And when it comes to the sustainability part, because we see all these projects, but they are time bound. They are, when they elapse, and that is just the end of it. So what other mechanisms are you coming up with to ensure that these people that you're supporting, it's something that is sustainable?
Yeah,
actually, I think that's why I mentioned the Andando program. The market linkage is part of an incubation program we call it Andando.
Even when the project phases out?
Yeah, when the project phases out, the Andando is anchored at GAIPA.
Okay.
So GAIPA is a national institution.
Yeah,
it's an agency under the Ministry of Trade. So Andando has 3 components. It has the capacity building component, which has trainings, entrepreneurship training, customized training, quality training, standard trainings, you name it. And then it has the market access. The market access element has to do with trade fairs, study tours, B2Bs, Gambia Good Market, which we are partnering with the Gambia Startup Chamber of Commerce and the Gambia Women Chamber of Commerce that we will roll out next month. And then it has the access to finance element. So the access to finance is a grant component where funds or grants are given to small businesses from $2,000 to the cap is $25,000. So the project is working, the entrepreneurship component in particular is working with Ministry of Trade. And we have what we call the entrepreneurship core team, which encompasses different business support organizations. So the key component of the program for support is the Andandor program. The Andandor is anchored at GAIPA. GAIPA is the secretariat, ministry is it has a management, GAIPA being the secretariat, ministry, the leadership, and then the core team serves as the board. So even in the absence of ITC, where we envisage the project going for 5 years, by the end of the 5 years, you know, these small businesses will still continue to receive support from the different business support organizations that are in the country.
So what are the issues that you face, you know, in supporting these young entrepreneurs?
I think when it comes to supporting these young entrepreneurs, most of them are very small, like Swebo is saying, and you know, they're at a very, very early stage, and in order for them to expand and grow their business, they need first market access. They need access to finance, because you cannot grow or sustain your business without access to finance. That's why, I mean, Swebo is the MSME expert. They have, like he said, and the Andandor has a lot of components. It has different components, and so to be specific with the challenges of market access for these entrepreneurs as well as access to finance. But at ITC, even though I saw ICT here, it's ITC, International Trade Center, yes. We ensure that we have a unique model. In addition to training, we complement our trainings with either market access opportunities or access to finance. So if you train an entrepreneur, for instance, or you train a young person and skills, you do not just leave them to go like that. You need to complement it with something that they can start and sustain their business as well. And I'm happy to tell you that you talked about sustainability. One of our projects that we implemented is still implementing together with IOM and UNDP. It's the Migration Multi-Partner Trust Fund project, where we targeted cross-border traders. Some of these cross-border traders at the last trade fair, we did not support them to go to the trade fair. But before that trade fair, we supported them and provided them with grants. Even without our support or intervention, they went to the trade fair because of the opportunities that they've seen and also garnered. So sustainability is there, but it can only start when we support you, empowered you, and provide you with the market access as well as finance. Then you're able to stand on your own. Even if ITC is not there, you're able to do it for yourself. There are success stories at the trade fair right now. The likes of Snack Heaven, I mean, many of them did not apply this time. This time we have almost 36 first-timers at the trade fair. So some of the people that we've supported in the past, even though we currently have, you know, currently supporting them because they are in the tourism sector, because we prioritize them. But there are others we supported in the past that now are not even coming up to us to say that we need extra support. They are standing on their own and running their business. So
but once you're supported once, can you still apply again?
It's possible.
It's possible.
It depends. Like I stated, the program has different components. So being supported for the trade fair doesn't deprive you from applying for other support, like capacity building. If, for example, because last year or so we provided some businesses with barcode. You know, yes, we have a lot of barcodes. You see some products with barcode, but we have a lot of fake barcodes also. So we supported some business to have barcodes. So yes, support in one does not deprive you from supporting, applying for support in others. But I want to come back to the question in terms of challenges we have. I would say challenges we envisage because this is a new product, is a new project in the tourism sector. And then with our engagement with the tourism sector, the vibes we are getting in terms of challenges, why the hotels are not buying from local suppliers. Key among them is sustainability of supply.
Are we going to provide enough?
No, not only enough, but is it available continuously? Because yes, most of, like Boubacar mentioned, most of these businesses are small. What is their production capacity? If a hotel, for example, requires 100 crates of egg every week, is it available? That's one area. The other area is quality. You know, yes, we have very good honey in the Gambia. We have very good tomato. We have very good, you know, you name them. But how is the honey packaged? What process has it gone through? What quality is the test and stuff like that? So these are some of the challenges that we envisage. Quality, security of supply, that's like continuous supply, no excuses, you know, and then volume also. True. You know, so how...
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. The time is up.
Oh,
yes,
already?
I think we have to close this segment here. Thank you very much. That was a very interesting interaction there.
And hopefully next year we will apply too.
Yes.
We would have a stall for
But I'm just scared.
Who's applied this morning?
I'm just scared. I'm no more a youth, Julde. I have passed that threshold now.
But Julde is a woman, so
Julde can apply.
Julde can apply.
For me, I have now moved to to another level. Yeah, so thank you very much, viewers. We'll take a short break. After the break, then we'll head to the last segment of this program. We'll be back.
Money imurundana ne koteke anila ni mobile app sone yaringo alanna yata ndu ise kuol bekeno ibeda woda wati ise munafanno ila kodola anin Money la ni mobile app kuto ise kodo dundino ye kodo fintinde ise credit ko sanno ye power sang ye fengol sang ndu fanan ise mol jono anin ku jamalu ise Money kino yela bilol jo ndu fanan bantala banko se kodo kiyeno ise kodo fanan kino do kotenge kurke munafanyina a download sign Play Store anin App Store ni laftaka Serengo sotoje Money customer care commandi 133 Money suñu kalpe ntolle nga silo walang dole mol noma.
Taking a break isn't about stopping. It's about recharging for the next stage. Welcome to our oasis.
Powered by Africa, Oris Energies.
Money Delsina ak sen mobile app bu bes bi orna gawna te hit mun nga ko jëfandikoo pour def ci lo bëgga fo mun di ne waxtu bu ne mun nga jot sa xaalis ak Money mobile app bu bes bi mun nga dugal xaalis génné xaalis jënd ci crédit jënd ci Power jënd lo bëgga ak yu bari mun nga ci yónnee Money fay sa bill si jot xaalis bitim réew yónnee xaalis ci noo ko bëggee looy def yomba na downloadal app bi léegi ca Play Store bu dul loolu App Store pour nga door pour am cellulaire koolal Money customer care si 133 Money suñu kalpe ñoo xaali yoon wi ñeneen toppa.
We are back. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Balde and I am with Julde Nyai. Now let's move to the last segment of this program, and we have Mrs. Hannah Foster, Executive Director of the African Center for Democracy, Human Rights Studies in the Gambia. And we'll be discussing a recently concluded event, some of the discussions on that event, and we'll also take a look at human rights issues affecting Africa. It's good to have you on this program, Ma. I think this is the second time or the third time?
I've lost count.
On this platform. Yeah, so we've been here. I think your PA is doing a very good job. He always keeps following and also making arrangements for interviews. So it's good to have you here. First of all, you recently concluded an event, NGO, very important. So please take us through that.
Okay. Good morning, and thank you for having me. Yes, the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies just concluded the forum on the participation of NGOs in the work of the 83rd African Commission on Human and People's Rights. The center is the secretariat of the forum, and I am the spokesperson also of the forum.
Okay.
Yes, we had 3 days of interaction, bringing together civil society practitioners, activists, legal minds all over Africa, from 36 African countries. I think we were almost 180 participants.
Okay.
And most of the issues we discussed were around human rights in Africa, but under the theme justice for Africa and people of African descent through reparations. And during this period, we were able to look at the historical perspective of the issue when we talk about reparations, when we talk about Africans and people of African descent in the diaspora. So what is interesting to know, and some of the issues that were raised, was the fact that slavery and colonialism has indeed affected the human rights situation in Africa, and there's still need to address the injustice that was meted out to Africans and people of African descent. And we also were able to look at the situation of human rights and democracy on the continent. And we also had different special interest groups also looking at the theme with the eyes of their own specialization. And gender perspectives were also looked at. But one thing stands out, that even in this day and age, yes, we can say that reparations is something that needs to be done. And it was agreed that before we even talk about reparations, those perpetrators who committed those ills need to recognize the fact that what they did was wrong, and then we talk about reparations. But then the discussion also spanned into transitional justice in our different countries, and look at how reparations we are getting on. And one particular example was that of the Gambia, because we do know that the TRRC had recommended reparations, but then there's still challenges in terms of ensuring that they are paid out, because people think that when we talk about reparations, we're talking about financial, yes. And one of the questions that arose was the fact that, can a man's dignity be equated to financial transactions? So it was agreed that there should be other ways of dealing with reparations. Yes.
So
thank you.
how does the African Center for Human Rights Studies, how do they monitor compliance with the African Charter, especially when it comes to African countries? We know that we have all these legal and regulatory frameworks, but compliance has always been a big problem for African countries.
Indeed, compliance and even implementation of their commitments. The way we work with our partners is that the African Center coordinates sub-regional focal points. We have sub-regional focal points in North Africa, based in Morocco, South Africa, based in Johannesburg, West Africa in Togo, East Africa in Uganda, and Central Africa in Cameroon. We also have one in the diaspora, based in Geneva, and also a Lusophone focal point based in Angola. So these different focal points monitor the situation of human rights in their various regions. And during the forum, these are the same focal points who, after collating information, come in and give a rundown of what is happening, highlighting those countries that need special attention, and also indicating what, perhaps even giving us a futuristic account of what could happen in the next few weeks or next few months in relation. So you've also find out that some of the organizations also prepare what we call alternative reports or shadow reports. This current session is looking at the reports of Ethiopia and Zimbabwe. So we did have some organizations that have come up with alternative reports on Ethiopia and also on Zimbabwe. But then you also find out that in Ethiopia, a number of issues have been flagged, like the treatment of IDPs, like the treatment of refugees, and also democratic governance itself in Ethiopia was also on the agenda. In Zimbabwe, there also the closure of civic space also was raised, as well as the issue of freedom of association and assembly, which also is receiving some backlash there.
So how do poverty and inequality affect human rights in Africa?
Poverty, when somebody is poor, would they have time to think about other things? Even if they wanted something to eat, it becomes a challenge. But then a school of thought tells us that poverty is a crime by the government, because it means that they have not prioritized developing their citizens to be able to take care of themselves. But we all know that where poverty is, the life of the human being does not have value as such, because this is somebody who cannot make ends meet, somebody who is living on less than $1 a day, and this is also somebody who can be taken advantage of. Yes, we've seen that when you have money or a little bit of money, nobody dares to come out and violate your rights. So most of the violations are on the poor people. When you go to, let's say, in Sudan, in this time of conflict in Sudan, you find out that the poor people are suffering more than those who do have clout or who are supposedly rich. So poverty is something that needs to be addressed. And when we talk about empowering them, it is making sure that they know their rights, making sure that they do have skills, and making sure that they are able to also participate, so that their issues are also brought to the discussion table to see how it can be alleviated.
The last ordinary session, you focused on the issue of Sudan and how rape, human rights violations, especially with women and children, how it's affecting them. So what are some of the resolutions that you came up with? And so far, the resolutions that you came, the session came up with, how many of them were adopted now? Or were implemented?
At the last session.
Ordinary session, yes.
At the last ordinary session, yes. The issue of Sudan, and it's still continuing because the war has not abated. The two armed forces are still in confrontation. And we also know that it has adversely affected women. We see that even at this point in time, the women, there's enforced disappearances of women. You find the statistics we got yesterday was that there are over 230-something cases of disappeared women. And nobody knows. They've looked for them in all the regions, in all the capitals, in Darfur, in Blue Nile, and they don't even know where they are. Their families are disturbed. There's this particular case of somebody called Rohia, who was supposed to be sitting to exams this year, and the mother could not find her. Nobody knows. There is also the stories that some of them tend to go to across the border to Kenya or to Uganda to run away from the crisis. But last session, one of the resolutions that were adopted by the forum dealt with communities discriminated against by descent and work. You know, this is a very it's a very new topic, but it's in human rights, but it has been with us for a very long time. Because when you look at some of us, we are being told, okay, ki tegala, ki jamla, ki lelela. Yes, and we know that when we talk about human rights, all people are born equal in dignity and in rights. So that was how a case was made after some research done in Mali, in Gambia, in Niger, and the outcomes of those reports were put together and they formed the core of the resolution, and it has been adopted by the African Commission. And at this particular session, we've started sensitizing on the need to ensure that there is non-discrimination and there is equality and there is inclusion. Because when we talk about equality, we are saying that all of us are born equal in dignity and rights. When we talk about inclusion, it means that we all should work together and have equal access to health, equal access to services, you know. And you find out that according to the studies, you find out that there was no equality in terms of access. They even had different, what do you call it, cemeteries and things like that. So non-discrimination is also very key, and we are happy that the African Commission also adopted that particular resolution, and we are looking forward to them coming up with a document that will instigate state parties to protect the lives of these people that are being called slaves. Because when you look at it, we say slavery is over, but it really is not, because in some of our communities in Mauritania and other countries, they are still practicing. In Niger, they are still practicing slavery. And I can safely say that in Gambia too, because if you have some people who live the lives of slaves, who do your work, who do all sorts of things and are not paid, you know, I'm sure you might also have followed the case of the chief of a judge in the UK, yes, who took the maid to work for her and under some very suspicious circumstance, and was not paying the lady. So now he's been in prison for, I think, 6 or 9 years in the UK. Yeah, this is a judge of the court of Uganda. So these are things that perhaps, I don't know whether putting her in jail would be the answer, would provide the answer. But it's a tough stance against discrimination, against slavery, so to speak.
Yeah, let's talk about our courts. Are our courts very effective in fighting human rights abuses? Are they very effective in Africa?
It depends. In some of our countries, we do know that there is no independence of the judiciary. In others, they are trying to maintain some degree of independence. But to us, it means that the citizens themselves must be empowered enough to be able to say, this is wrong, or this is right, or we will not tolerate this, and be able to stand up and face the courts and say this is wrong. So I see there's a trend in some of our countries that they have trained a lot of legal scholars and jurists. So it is hopeful that they would uphold the Constitution, and they will also be able to provide assistance to the citizens, yes, in their cause to get justice.
So in terms of, because we spoke about implementation earlier, so in terms of the African Center, how effective are you to ensure that your recommendations and rulings are respected by member states?
Generally, we don't deal directly with member states. What happens is we tend to ensure that organizations, civil society organizations at the national level are able to maintain some degree of collaboration with their government so that they're able to discuss and negotiate. At the forum, what we do is to highlight some of these issues and bring it to the attention of the Commission, so that the Commission has more leeway with the countries and has more authority with them. So they should be the ones who would call on the states, because the states send their state reports to the Commission, not to us. And that way, it's a 2- or 3-way discussion or negotiation. And also not forgetting that we do have national human rights commissions that do have their statutes based in the laws of the land, and they also collaborate with civil society to make sure that these issues are brought to the attention of the states and to collaborate with them in trying to see that they live up to their expectations.
So it's important to also highlight on how climate change affects human rights as well. So what are we doing about it? Every year, year in, year out, we go for the COP 26, 27, 29, but still there is no solution.
Okay. The African Center has recently, in 2023 and 2024, trained some environmentalists and people who are working on natural resource governance. We've trained them in the use of procedures for in the human rights system, as well as the mechanisms. And at this session, or this 83rd session, we also brought them in to participate in the forum and to also engage with the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. For us, we believe that before you can successfully advocate for anything, you need to know how to engage, how to participate, what are the main issues, and how to go around it. So for us, that's our first step. And then encouraging them to use their knowledge and skills at the national level to engage with their governments. Those are things that we as the African Center and some of our partners, that's what we do. And hopefully it will yield results, because we had meetings with the mechanism in charge of the environment and human rights, as well as natural resource governance, and they were very fruitful discussions. So we are hoping that it will bring about better interactions in the area of the environment, managing the environment, or observing the human rights, how it does affect the environment, and how we can make it better for the citizens.
So in terms of your strategic priorities for the next 5 years, what would it be?
It would be dynamic, because the strategic plan takes into consideration that, yes, we do have violations of human rights. So we want to make sure that there is minimal violations. So that's it. And if you look at our motto, it says, together we can have an Africa without human rights violations. But we do know that it is something that it depends on the outside environment, what is happening, and what is also happening within institutions and within our countries. So there are various factors that could affect the implementation of these things. So you find out that yes, we have that view, that vision, but every year we have to keep going back and reviewing and adjusting here and there. We in the quest to have an Africa that is peaceful, an Africa that observes and respects the human rights of its citizens.
So finally, what challenges do people with disabilities face in claiming for their rights, especially in Africa?
I don't think in terms of when we talk about human rights, you know, sometimes in the national constitution they have protection. But then we also have at the international level, there is a convention for persons with disability. And even at the level of the United Nations, we do have instruments to protect persons with a disability. For me, I believe one of the most important challenges that we need to look at is for them knowing the existence of these and how to engage. So if there is going to be any assistance to them, it will be more sensitization, more training and education, more research and documentation, and then helping in making sure that they work in groups, they work as a network to be able to access whatever assistance is there. But then, as I always say, yes, nobody can fight for you. You have to stand up for your rights before all of us stand firm to support you. So I cannot fight for you if you are not interested in standing up. And this is, I always tell the story of this particular lady who was in a marriage and had only girls. And the girls, and because of that, the man divorced the lady.
Boys.
Yes, he didn't have any boy. The man wanted boys.
Okay, and that's the fault of the woman.
Presumably. But the story came to a head. The woman went looking after the kids, the two girls, and then one day they came and they stole the children and took them for FGM. Wow. And you know, the tribe of the wife, they do not practice FGM. So she was not in a position to even go and visit the kids. So that was where we came in. And the first thing we told her was, go and report them to the police. So she went, she reported the case to the police. And the police, and I said to her, when you tell them about the case, tell them that it was human rights who asked you to go. So as soon as they went and they arrested everybody in the compound of the husband and took them to in Lamin. And now, that was when the husband knew that he had to do something. He came back because we already had the case out because he was not even looking after the kids, and now they've stolen the kids and they've circumcised them. So now he knew that he didn't stand a chance. He had to go back to the lady and say to her, I still love you. I was under pressure because my relations wanted a boy. But if you drop the case, I will marry you
I'll
again.
take you back. Thank you very much. Thank you. We've already exhausted the whole time. Thank you very much, Ms. Hannah Foster, for coming. And I hope we will have more of these engagements in the future.
We will be very happy to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Julde, this is all we have.
Until we come your way tomorrow.
Enjoy the rest of our programs. Do have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.